What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, bringing you one of my favourite decks for this format that did get some sub support in the form of the Morganites. So today I am bringing you Regenesis Morganite. That's right, the Morganites actually work incredibly well with this deck, and on top of that, so does Songs of the Dominators, which I'm really excited to actually physically be playing in a deck now. So I've really enjoyed Regenesis for the previous format, and now with the Morganite cards, you kind of get a bit more of a control aspect while also giving you a bit more aggression and speed for the deck, because the brand new guilt-tripping Morganite allows you to normal summon level 5 monsters or higher without tribute. So long gone are the days where you're like, damn, I can't get a Regenesis monster to the field because my opponent stopped me in all ways. Where's my normal summon coming from? You can now just go, cool, normal summon the Regenesis, and off you go. So I'm going to take you through the profile, I'm going to show you what we've got, explain why we've got it, and talk about all of the different synergies with the Morganites and the Regenesis, and how the deck can come together to be what could be considered as an anti-meta or underdog deck for this upcoming format. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe to miss out on any more upcoming content. So, starting off with the first of the Regenesis cards, we are going with 3 Regenesis Archfiend. This is your ideal start for the Regenesis strategy. This is why you want to get everything ticking, because on normal or special, you get to then add a Regenesis card from the deck to the hand. Now, of course, it has the different summoning and conditions from the rest of the Regenesis monsters that you can special summon it from the hand by revealing a monster with exactly 2500 attack or defense, whereas the others are all, if you control a monster with 2500 attack or defense, or there is a monster with 2500 attack or defense on either field, you get to special summon it. Then got the 1 Sage. Now, arguably in this version, you can probably bump it up to 2 should you want to. I just like leading in with the Morganites a little bit more, because directly what you're going to try and do is your Archfiend's always going to try and get to your Sage, or if you already have a Regenesis card in the hand, you're going to be utilizing your Regenesis code to get you to the Sage as well. The 1 Lord, you're basically playing Lord in this version as that guaranteed main deck way to out high attack monsters, especially when you look at like Lunalights as well. You might want to consider generic cards that can out it, maybe play a line of Kaijus if you wanted to, but you can also play Underworld Goddess in the extra deck. But then if they don't get its attack stat buffed, you can also work your way into Regenesis Lord, and you just have to find ways to protect it to make sure that Regenesis Lord can kill it by battle. 1 Warrior and 1 Dragon, pretty standard on this. Like, you can bump them up if you wanted to, but I feel that you are playing the 1s of each is all that you need. 3 Regenesis, acting as like additional copies for any of your Regenesis monsters. 3 Regenesis code. I really like this card, even more so in this version, because this version of the deck, I've not really focused on the extra deck at all, which is why I'll show you the extra deck at the end. You'll see that it's not complete, but I'll just talk you through cards that you might consider doubling up, cards you might consider a generic support, but really we're going to be utilizing Pot of Extravagance to kind of burn through it and just gain us as much resource as possible. 2 Regenesis Birth, I still feel the fact that this is like a pseudo soul charge, but also the ability to send as cost and then book them in one of your opponent's monsters could be very effective. If in a matchup where it's not as effective with that particular effect, you can always cut it down to 1 should you need to. And then moving on to the Morganite cards. Now these are the 2 new cards that are really going to make this tick. So we play 3 Morgana, the Witch of Eyes. It is always treated as a Morganite card. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you get to banish a Morganite spell from the grave to negate the attack. You can only use each effect once per turn. If this card is normal or special, you get to add a Morganite spell from the deck to the hand. And if you have 3 or more Morganites with different names in the graveyard and or banishment, you get to change the attack of all face-up monsters your opponent controls to 0. So then when your boss monsters are 2500 base each, you're going to be able to push in for an OTK very easily. Then the other brand new card is the Guilt Gripping Morganite. For the rest of the duel, you apply the following effects. You can't activate monster effects in the hand, so the benefit of that is your Regenesis don't activate in the hand, which is beautiful. You get to normal summon level 5 or higher monsters without tribute. Great. And then you do not pay life points to activate spell or trap cards. So when you go into your side deck and you're bringing in judgments, you're bringing in warnings, strikes, you name it, you can actually rely on them a lot more and not worry about burning your life points down, which is amazing. You can banish this card from the graveyard to reveal a Morganite card in your hand, place the revealed card on the bottom of the deck to then draw 1 card. We are then playing the aggressive Morganite card in the Succumbing Song Morganite. So for the rest of the duel, again, apply the following effects. You can't activate monster effects in the hand, but monsters you control can make up to 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase. So again, that's where your aggression's coming in, because Lord attack twice with Morgana, return it to 0 is game. If your monster battles an opponent's monster, any battle damage you inflict to your opponent is doubled. What didn't you say so? Lord attack once, game over. And then if you're you get to banish this card from the graveyard to then add a Morganite card from the deck to the hand and place 1 card from the hand on the bottom of the deck. So being able to get to Morgana, normal summon the Morgana, get you to either your Guilt Gripping or the Time Tearing. So Time Tearing, again, you can't activate monster effects from the hand. You draw 2 cards instead of 1 for your normal draw during your draw phase. You can conduct 2 normal summons or set per turn, not just 1. You can banish this card from the graveyard to then discard a Time Tearing Morganite. Your opponent cannot activate monster effects when you normal summon this turn. Now, obviously, that's going to be a little bit specific, as I've dropped cards on the floor, because, you know, classic. That's going to be a little bit specific in what you're trying to achieve with that one. But the idea behind all of this is that's why you're only playing this at 1 and you're playing all the others at 3. We've then got 3 Pot of Extravagance because you don't really care. Like, the only thing you're going to look out is after you do so, you can't draw by card effects, which is fine, which just means you're going to lock out the secondary effect of your Guilt Gripping. But honestly, if you're going to activate Extravagance when you're not caring about your extra deck, draw some fresh new cards and then go on from there. Like, you don't mind about that one draw not being a thing. Then the hand traps you can actually play, because it's not a monster effect in the hand, is triple Infinite Impermanence. You can play 3 of the next cards should you wish. I'm still trying out 2, which is Songs of the Dominators. So for those of you unfamiliar with this card, if you have no monsters in your graveyard, you get to activate this card from the hand. When your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, negate that effect. Then if you have a trap card in your graveyard, you get to add a Dominus card from the deck to the hand. Now, we're not relying on having a trap card in our graveyard. The idea is that we've got a completely empty graveyard. We're activating this from hand as a way to negate cards and then be able to move from there. If you activate this card from the hand, you can't activate the effects of monsters in your hand, which you don't do, graveyard, and banishment until the end of the next turn. Now, it's very, very important. The whole lock of something like that is only going to apply if you activate this during your opponent's turn and you've already got Regenesis about to go to the graveyard, because if you do that, your Regenesis won't be able to add themselves back from the grave to the hand. But you're very rarely going to be in that position, because to have no monsters in your graveyard by the point you want to try and activate this from the hand, you're better off just setting it, because you've already set up a field and you're going to set this card. So it's actually a really, really good card for this deck, because not only do you not care about activating monster effects from the hand or grave or banishment, it does it until the end of the next turn. So if I activate it during my turn from hand, because let's say I have no monsters in the hand and I activate this, that's fine, because then the lock from the graveyard is until the end of my opponent's turn, and at the end of my opponent's turn is when I want to start activating the Regenesis to add back. So again, it's very specific that that's going to happen, because if you're activating this during your turn, it means your opponent has tried to activate a card effect on the field that is going to be disruptive to you, and even then, once you've stopped it, you should be pushing him for an OTK. The other cards we are playing is 3 Forbidden Droplet, backed up by 3 Trill Tactics Thrust, mainly because of how effective the Vanquish Soul strategy is going to be, I reckon, going forward. The fact that they're going to be activating cards and then putting monsters on their field during my turn means that my Thrust can get me direct access to Regenesis, but it can also get me direct access to Triple Tactic Talent, to then look at my opponent's hand, take their monster, or basically draw 2 new cards as well. More times than not, if you've got Pot of Extravagance, you're probably going to look at your opponent's hand. That's where you're going to get the most resource from it, and you're basically taking away cards that could be effective or to disrupt your strategy in your plays. So that's it for the entire main deck. Now to move on to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, as I said, I'm just going to show you a range of cards that you can choose to play multiples of if you wanted to, but because we're playing extra, the only ones you'd probably want to focus on the most at putting at 3 would be 3 Typhon and 3 SP. If you're not playing Extravagance because you're playing Prosperity, for example, then of course you can be a little bit more flexible with your extra deck and you'll probably choose a bit more of a range. I still feel that playing 2 Typhon is not a bad thing with this deck, because all of your monsters are going to be base of 2500, so being able to upgrade one of them into a 2900 technical floodgate for your opponent can still be very, very useful. The other card you can then consider if you are going to be a bit more flexible is IP to work you into SP or work you into the brand new Gorgon of Zilophenia. I think it's kind of like a cool option to utilize. You're probably more times than not going to go into SP Little Knight, but it's another card that a lot of people might forget about that can still be quite useful. Then, of course, Underworld Goddess to help you out any of your towers, again with the Lunalight strategy. Buzz King, just to get access to your opponent's extra deck, take care of a card in the extra deck, but you can also consider playing the Kashtira, Fenrir and Unicorn in the main deck should you want to. A Charmer of your choice, and then just generic cards like Nightmare Phoenix to help you deal with floodgates or any back row that might be causing you issues. So that's pretty much it. You can be as flexible with the extra deck as you want to, because more times than not, you'll be using code that will lock you out of your extra deck. You can consider stuff like Zeus. It really just kind of comes down to the environment you want to take it to, and then what you feel you're going to be facing to then make it as adaptive as possible. Anyway, I hope this has given you a bit of an insight into the deck and what it currently looks like. I really do like what the deck can offer. I love the brand new cards of Morgana and the Guilt Gripping. I love the fact that it's now become like an art type of its own. And I also love the fact that I can utilize Songs of the Dominators in a deck that I quite enjoy playing. So that's pretty much it for the profile. If you do have any questions at all, by all means, please put in the comments down below. I'm always more than happy to answer them. But for now, as absolutely always, stay safe and of course, happy dueling.